The John Sterling Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And here is a good friend, outstanding writer for whatever newspaper or internet service he is on. His name is Ian O'Connor. And Ian, I welcome you to the program and thank you for coming on.
Hey, John, it's always great to talk to a legend. How are you?
The legend's okay, I guess.
Good,
I'm
good.
hanging in there. You know, just one thought before I get to more important things. Yankees got really beaten again today, and their bullpen got beaten up and whatever. And I just noticed on the screen that it says Aaron Boone's press conference is coming up, on their postgame. And you know that the media would love him to knock his team. And you know what, Ian? That's not possible.
Yeah, I agree, John. I don't think he's capable really of doing that, at least in this climate, the way he sees it. But I think obviously the big story is Aaron Judge, and is he going to reveal that the extent of this elbow injury? And I think everyone in Yankeedom is holding his or her breath, waiting for that news. And man, that would be such a shame, such a terrible shame if this is a serious injury and he's out for an extended period of time. And he's just having a season for the ages. So let's hope that the news is very good. We'll see if Aaron Boone here in a few minutes discloses anything of significance.
What are they saying about the injury?
Well, it's just that it's the elbow, and you saw the other night in Toronto where he winced in pain when he threw the ball in from right field. And basically after the off day Thursday, apparently he was feeling better, played Friday night, and felt discomfort and pain in that elbow again. So obviously some tests and imaging have taken place today, and hopefully the results come back here in a little bit, and the news is good. But that is obviously a very, very serious matter. Any kind of absence when you're talking about Aaron Judge, who's having one of the great seasons of all time, would be really damaging to this Yankee cause. And obviously, John, just looking at it, they, as you know, 2 months ago, they're up 7 games in the division. Now they're down 6 games to Toronto, who is 8 games back of the Yankees 2 months ago. So this slide has gone on for an extended period of time, and it is very alarming.
Well, if my numbers are right, and I really never have numbers with me, but I think they have lost 27 of their last 41 games. And boy, that's not just one little blip in the road. That's a long time, 41 games. That's 1/4 of the year.
Yeah, so, John, and it's also the way that they've lost, the errors upon errors upon errors. And it surprised me this year. I really thought the Yankees would be a very buttoned-up, fundamentally sound team based on not just losing the World Series, but as you remember, a few of the Dodgers players pretty much mocked the Yankees for their lack of fundamentally sound play, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And so I have to say, I'm actually kind of shocked that they're having this kind of season defensively. Their new addition at third base, McMahon, did make a very good play in the 8th inning, backhanded dive. So, and he is a very good defender at third base, not great offensively, but it is what they need. And so we'll see if he makes a difference.
I would say this, Ian, if Judge is hurt, first of all, they don't release anything. They don't tell, not just the Yankees, any ball club in any sport. They don't tell you about injuries. In hockey, they've gone as far as to say upper body injury, lower body injury. They don't give you any, which is wrong because the fans support these leagues so well. They're making so much money. I'd say this, though, if Judge is really hurt, that would be the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. You never, if you're the manager, of course, you would never say that publicly.
Oh, no.
I would suspect that Spencer Jones would be called up. That's a move they can make, and he's having a great run in AAA right now. And so, but just play the underdog card, which is a card the Yankees don't often get to play. There are 3 wild card spots to be handed out. I would think the Yankees could still contend for one of those. And then once you get in the tournament, you could be a feel-good story if you can make a run without Aaron Judge. But let's hope that it doesn't get to that point, because I felt this year, John, that I was watching, and really in the last 3-4 years, it was like covering Babe Ruth.
Oh, absolutely.
I felt like I got to feel or understand what it was like back then to cover Babe Ruth, and that was a privilege. It really was, and I just hope that doesn't end with whatever Aaron Boone is going to say in this press conference.
You know, I love what you say. If if Judge is not really hurt and he hits, 14 more home runs and finishes with, let's say, 50, that'd be 4 years, 50 or more home runs. Boy, that's pretty good. That is Ruthian. That is pretty good. Well, let me get to something else with you, something much more important for you. You're coming out with a book. I can't wait to read it. I cannot. First of all, you're a terrific writer. I've loved everything you've written. But you're doing a book on Danny Hurley and the great success of Connecticut basketball.
Yeah, it's actually with Dan Hurley. My previous 6 books were unauthorized biographies. My most recent one of those was Aaron Rodgers. This one is the first time I've actually worked with the subject, and it was a great process. I really enjoyed spending the season and time with Dan. I've known his family forever. I covered his brother Bobby at Duke some. I've known the father, obviously one of the greatest high school basketball coaches of all time. And Dan coming off back-to-back national championships, we thought that was the right time to do the project. Obviously, UConn didn't win it all this year, though they gave Florida a big run for its money in the second round, almost beat the eventual national champion this year. And next year, or the upcoming season, the Huskies are preseason top 5. They're really good. So they have a shot to maybe win 3 championships in 4 years, which would be a dynasty and a hell of an accomplishment.
Oh, phenomenal. In fact, Ian, you put together the men's basketball program and the women's basketball program at Connecticut. Isn't it amazing that school could have that success throughout the country? It
sure is. Particularly, it's not a place where you go to for the weather, and they admit this. Storrs, Connecticut is a little bit of a middle of nowhere place, and yeah, you look at the national championships, you're talking about a combined, 18? It is an amazing. It's probably the most stunning college basketball story ever, that school could be the signature school in women's and men's basketball. So it's probably not talked about enough in college basketball, what UConn has been able to do. And so, yeah, it's an amazing run. Obviously, Gino Auriemma, it goes down as one of the greatest coaches in any sport in the history of this country. Right. And it's an amazing story.
No, it really is. Tell me about this project. Did you work on a daily basis with Danny Hurley?
It felt like an hourly basis, actually. And so I was with UConn for the season, and it was a challenging season. As you know, he got criticized quite a bit this year for his sideline disposition. And so it was challenging for him in every way. They weren't as good as they were when they won the back-to-back national championships. It took him a while to get used to that and to accept that. But at the end, again, they made a run, had a chance to beat Florida, the eventual champion, in the second round, and didn't work out. But if they come back and win it again this year, 3 out of 4, that's a dynasty to me. So obviously, for the sake of the book and for Dan's legacy, I hope that does go down that way.
Well, now I'm going to root for you.
Thank you.
I was at dinner, Ian, with a lot of your friends, Dom Amore and Anthony McCarron and Pete Caldera, and actually someone told me, I can't remember who, that your book is coming out now. It's coming out in a week. Is that right?
No, it's actually coming out September 30th. We'll start promoting it, though, fairly soon, maybe in August some. But my Aaron Rodgers book came out last August. The paperback version's coming out in a few weeks. And I was just in Pittsburgh, went on Thursday for his first practice with the Steelers, and drove back after spending a day at Giants camp. So I've been bouncing around. Was supposed to have today off, but obviously sort of waiting for this Aaron Judge news, and depending on what that news is, I might be back on in about 15 minutes.
Well, by the way, I read the Aaron Rodgers book, and it was fabulous, and I'm looking forward to this one. This is September 30th now. It's coming out. And
that's correct, yep.
Okay. So tell your people to send me a book.
Oh, I will personally send it to you. I think
if they don't, I'll go out and buy it.
And Aaron Boone is at the podium right now, so I guess we'll see what he has to say. But I think people will enjoy the story. The life story of Dan Hurley is a very profound one. He's overcome quite a bit, some serious issues when it comes to depression as a college student, as a struggling player at Seton Hall, and just to overcome the specter of his brother and father, and having that kind of success and trying to live up to that was a great challenge to him, and he overcame it.
Yes. As you mentioned, Bob Hurley was one of the great high school coaches of all time, forever in New Jersey, St. Anthony's, I think. And, and his brother Bobby was a big star. So anyway, that's the book. I can't wait to read it. They've just announced that Aaron Judge was diagnosed with a flexor strain. You have any idea what that means?
No, not really. I didn't go to med school, but I'm trying to look here on X to see if somebody is giving a little bit of a timeline here on that. Doesn't sound as bad as maybe the worst fears that were out there, but no, I can't give you that diagnosis. But just looking here to see if somebody can in the next 50 seconds. And let's hope that it's something that doesn't keep him out for any period of time.
Well, Ian, we have to break. Judge is going to go on the list on the IL, and it's unfair for me to ask you what that means, because how would you know? You're on the air with me, but what do you think it means?
Well, obviously it's a strain in the elbow, and it means that he's going to DH, I imagine, the rest of the season. But it is great news when the fear was that it was a tear that would require Tommy John surgery.
Oh my!
So that during the day, I think that's where most Yankees fans went, to that possibility. And so this is actually great news. I think most people were expecting worse than that and would have signed up for that an hour or two ago without question, that he'd end up on the injured list and that would need to DH when he returned. If the Yankees have his bat in the lineup for most of the rest of the season, I think they're going to be fine as far as making the playoffs. And to me, when you're a wild card, you got a shot. You just got to get in the tournament, John. And sometimes it almost is a benefit to be a wild card. If you win that first series, you have momentum, and you end up facing a team that's been sitting around for 4 days. We've seen it happen before. So Yankees down 6 games now in the division. If Judge isn't out for too long, I think they get one of these 3 wild cards, and they'll be fine going forward and have a shot. You look in the American League, the Dodgers are on the other side of the draw. That's a good thing. There's nobody in the American League, if I'm a Yankees fan, that I'm terrified of.
Well, I agree. Detroit had they've come so far in the last few years, get players. That's what happens. And, they've lost 11 out of 12 games. So you're right about the American League. So Judge would be out for 10 days, right?
I don't know my suspicion is it might be a little longer than that ultimately, but I think that at a minimum. And but if you told me that he'd be out for 3 weeks, I would have signed up for that before I came on the show and before Aaron Boone went to the microphone here. I mean, I was thinking this sounds maybe season threatening, and so it sounds like it's just going to be a shorter period of time than most of us suspected, and that is a good sign. It
is a good sign. I'll tell you something that isn't so good. If, in fact, you're right that when Judge comes back, they DH him, then what do you do with Giancarlo, who actually is hitting the ball very well, getting a lot of base hits along with home runs?
Right, and I just don't think you can put him out in the field.
No.
Just his body at this point, I don't think can take it. So that is a problem. That is a problem that is going to have to be solved here one way or the other. And I think that's a good problem to have. That means Aaron Judge is available, and Boone's going to have to, and Cashman will have to figure that one out. But this news saves the season. And I think that they don't have to win the division, and they still might. Again, they're down 6 games, and in 2 months, they've lost 14 games in the standings to the Blue Jays. So I imagine the way the Blue Jays have played against the Yankees, you could argue that the Yankees should be afraid of them in the postseason tournament. But I just don't see a juggernaut team that I would say, no, the Yankees can't beat this opponent in a playoff series. And it's the one thing, when Soto left the Yankees and went to the Mets, he put himself on the Dodgers side of the draw, which is going to make it more challenging to get to the World Series. And I still think the Yankees have as good a chance as anyone, as long as Judge is going to be back and be okay, at least offensively, as anyone in the American League to make the World Series, to get back to the World Series. So this is this bulletin here, or this piece of news from Aaron Boone, is a very good thing.
Yeah, it'll be up to Boone to figure out all of his different lineups. It's not bad having Stanton on the bench. You know, they always talk about the Yankees have 2 extra players. I think that's a good thing. Then they have 2 guys on the bench who can hit. So,
and as you know, John, Stanton has good October numbers, better than Judge's, really.
Right, yeah.
So he's a guy who's produced under pressure. So that's something that's certainly in the Yankees' minds right now as they determine what the heck they're going to do when Judge comes back as basically a full-time DH.
I would agree with that because of his arm problems. 2 years ago, the Yankees played a series at home against Arizona near the end of the year, and I saw a lot of young players I didn't know with Arizona. And so, they played so well that, I kind of got a little rooting for them. And after all, look what Arizona did. They went all the way to the World Series, and they won a couple of games. So who knows? I agree with you. Get in the playoffs. Once you get in the playoffs, the Yankees need Heel to come back, and then that would give them 3 big-time starters.
Absolutely.
That they need.
By the way, John, it looks like, as you're speaking here, that Judge initially has to be a DH. So who knows? Maybe he can then transition to right field after that elbow calms down some more and is ready for it. So I don't know if this means I don't know when he'll be able to play the field, but if his time as a DH is temporary, that means that Stanton then can go back to that DH role, and they'll be in business. But yeah, just get in the dance, and once they're there, again, the Dodgers being on the other side of the draw is a good thing, and they'll have a shot.
Well, I agree. And about them not playing well last year, I figured out if they had just done the normal things, a throw back into the infield that got away in Game 1, well, the Yanks would have won that game, and then obviously Game 5, and they would have gone to L.A. with a 3-2 lead. I don't know if they would have won. Anyway, yeah, you mentioned that you've hit the football camps, and in this city, football mad, and I'm one of them, watch every game. I know it's almost impossible to predict this right now. You think the Giants and Jets will be, better where they become almost a 500 team, something like that?
I think the Jets are going to surprise some people. I liked Justin Fields as a quarterback who has upside, who I think actually played fairly well for the Steelers. He went 4-2, and then they went back to Russell Wilson. And I think that I'm not going to say he's going to be like Jalen Brunson with the Knicks where he explodes, but there's a lot of upside there. And I think Justin Fields can be a good player for the Jets. And so I think they can have a little bit of a bounce back season, but I still think the Jets will be under 500. The problem with the Giants is they have the toughest schedule in the NFL. And John, if you look at their home schedule, try to find me 2 wins at home. Their home schedule is tougher than their road schedule. And I think the Giants will be better this year. They added a very, very good pass rusher, Abdul Carter, to a pass rush that really should be one of the better pass rushes in the NFC. And they have a veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson who's on the downside, a promising young quarterback in Jackson Hart. They've got a great wide receiver in Neighbors. But what concerns me, other than, hey, if you're a Giants fan and you want Brian Dable to still be your head coach and Joe Shane to still be your general manager, they have a losing season. Likely both will be gone. And I just think that schedule is so oppressive that the Giants could be improved, but still go, 6-11, 7-10. And I don't see a path to a better record than that.
Well, I know this sounds silly, but 7-10 actually would be a pretty good record for them because their records have been so poorly. You know, we look at ball clubs, and the first thing you look at, all of us do, is the quarterback. And they're in a division. You know, they have two quarterbacks, Wilson and Winston, who have been around for a while, and they have a young guy they want to see play in Jackson Dart. But, you know, you look at the division, and you have Daniels in Washington, and you have Prescott in Dallas, and you got Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. I don't know if they can beat those teams.
Yeah, I don't know either. They always struggle with the Cowboys, who maybe are the one team and roster you look at and say, well, maybe the Giants can hurdle them. But you have the defending champs in your division, of course, with Saquon Barkley, who the Giants had. And Daniels looks like a megastar in the making. And the Cowboys are a better team talent-wise than the Giants, who struggle with them. So, yeah, I mean, the Giants on paper look like the fourth best team in that division. And when we're done, look at their schedule. And that is an ominous hurdle that they're going to have to try to figure out how to overcome that. And I do think they're better than they were last year. Of course, it's hard to be worse than they were last year. But they need to surprise people for Dable and Shane to be back next year in their roles as head coach and general manager.
Oh, you're probably right. One thing about the NFL this year, there are so many quarterback decisions that have to be made, and we have to find out if this guy can play and that guy can play. And if you go down the list, there's one after the other. Well, for example, Minnesota wants to start a guy who didn't play last year. And they gave up on Darnold, who led them to the playoffs. And Cleveland has 4 quarterbacks. Anyway, the quarterback story is always the big one in the NFL.
It's the whole team. It's 75% of the team anyway. It's everything. And it's such a more of a passing league now than when I was growing up. It's the running back actually mattered when I was a kid, when I started watching the NFL. Now running backs are almost not expendable, but close to that. And, of course, Saquon Barkley proved that the running back still matters to some degree and the impact he had on the Eagles. But, yes, the quarterback is everything. You really don't have a chance to win in the postseason if you don't have one. And so we'll see if the Jets have one in Justin Fields, and we'll see if the Giants have one ultimately when Jackson Dart gets the chance to play. It reminds me of the 2004 Giants when Kurt Warner had the ball for the first 9 games, and then Tom Coughlin went to Eli Manning, the number 1 overall pick. I can see Russell Wilson playing 9 or 10 games of decent football for the Giants before they turn it over to Dart. But Dart is the future of the franchise, and we'll see how he pans out.
Well, Ian, I thank you for all of your opinions on all these sports. I love them. I can't wait to read your book, and I can promise you this, sir, you will be back on this program again. So thank you.
Yeah, and again, thanks for having me on, and I've loved your work for so long, and it's a pleasure.
My pleasure, too. Thank you, Ian. Ian O'Connor. And when you want me to get off in 20 seconds? Off. Okay. My thanks to Eric Williams and Kelvin Mazzara and Rich Ratabali. This is John Sterling. See you next week at this time. It has been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to The John Sterling Show. You can hear The John Sterling Show Saturdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?